Good morning. It's Monday the 19th. This is the first podcast for Embodied Performance. I'm Nicholas Markey, or Nick. I have a company called Barbell. I do physical therapy and training. I'm brand new to it, so I'm still learning all the ins and outs of being a business owner and kind of figuring it out as I go. But I've met a lot of great people along the way here since moving to Wilmington, North Carolina, that have helped me kind of hammer out things and figure them out. Anyways, the reason why I want to start this podcast was to get my name out there and kind of put my thoughts out there. I've been doing a blog last few weeks, and it's been enjoyable to get the thoughts out of my head. Because they don't really do anybody any good, just sitting in my head, and it's important to get that information to people, because even if the blog or this podcast helps just one person, that's one more than nothing. So basically how I'm setting it up is doing about a 15 to 20 minute podcast semi-daily, hopefully more daily than semi, but I can't say that I will for sure be able to get it done every day. My hope is to also get a colleague who's a marriage and family therapist, but does more what's called mental performance training, so very focused on the end goal in mind instead of just the counseling element. Nothing wrong with counseling, but I'm sure once I can drag her onto this, that she can explain that in greater detail. But so I'm a physical therapist. I've been a physical therapist for a little over 6 years, kind of a eclectic style. I've worked with vestibular therapy. That's like vertigo and balance, inner ear issues. It's very, very weird and interesting to work with. My main specialty, I guess, would be what's called orthopedics. So that would often be, someone breaks a bone, or they have some back pain or shoulder pain, that kind of thing, outpatient generally. So the person is coming to me. My style is more or less a blend of training, so things like deadlifts and presses. I also like to incorporate more dynamic mobility. That'd be like walking high kicks or walking lunges or high knees and that kind of thing. Kind of a balance challenge, but also while working on range of motion and flexibility under control. With my background in the vestibular, I do like to incorporate the balance element as well. Kind of adds an interesting challenge and can be helpful for a lot of people. But so basically what I'm doing is I'm going to be opening a gym mid-October. It's going to be in Wilmington. It'll be near Henry's and Perry's off of Shipyard and Independence. It's going to have group training, personal training, one-on-one, and we're going to eventually incorporate more nutrition counseling as we go along to help people improve that aspect, maybe help them lose weight if needed. Then there's also going to be the physical therapy in there. It's kind of always been my vision to have a blended place like that, where you had the training side and the physical therapy was in there, almost kind of like you'd see with like an athletic trainer and the strength and conditioning in sports teams. That's always been just my cup of tea. So now that I'm here in Wilmington, just been here for 6 to 7-ish weeks, I guess now. Been doing that and meeting people and kind of trying to get my message out there of what I'm trying to do to help. So without getting too rambly or anything, I made a point to write down the topics that I want to talk about in each podcast. And again, I'm trying to keep it short so someone can get them done, with a drive or whatever whenever they listen to podcasts. I personally really like podcasts. I listen to a whole ton of them. I have a harder time reading, so listening to audiobooks and podcasts is awesome. So I figured I would jump into the fray and add another podcast out into the millions of them that are out there. So kind of already touched on who I am. I think I'll go into the name, the embodied performance. Embodied meaning taking into account the whole human. A lot of people kind of think dualistically, where you have the mind, and then you have the body. I tend to look at it as these are all integrated as one, so they call that embodied. I think the term that's been bandied about is embodied cognition, like your thinking is enwrapped into your whole being. So, and that's how I approach patient care, take into account of many factors. I'll discuss sleep, discuss stress, obviously exercise, because that's where my main focus is. Discuss nutrition, discuss, their life purpose, those kind of things. What is their why? Who are they? Why do they want to do the things they want to do? I find that helps connect with people a little bit more. And I guess a human way would be the best way to describe that. So, and it also helps me figure out how best can I help this person, because if I just give them exercise after exercise after exercise, but there's lots of other things going on in their life, then am I really doing the best thing to help them? Maybe there's other aspects they need to address. Now, obviously, sometimes some of those aspects of their life are out of my scope, which is why I do reach out to colleagues like, with Catherine Blackwell of Blackwell Mental Performance, from the mental side of things. Again, these aren't necessarily separate, but we all kind of have our different approaches and skill sets. So, so I see the training aspect is really no different from the physical therapy. I know physical therapy is oftentimes seen as just being, ultrasound or whatever thing they do to you, but I see the physical therapy as, number one, is reassurance to the person, how they feel, what they think about things, what they want to do, who they want to be, where are they now, and let's figure out a way to get there. I also see it as what's called load management. Load management would be, hey, your right arm hurts when you do certain things. Let's see if we can maybe bring it below that, threshold where it bugs you, hurts you, and to let it calm down. And then over time, as we're building it up, we can gradually get that, arm doing more and more until it's basically back to normal and normal function and happy function, you could say, and the person's able to live the full life that they want to live. So reassurance, you have reassurance, then you have load management. I've heard someone refer to the physical therapy as just training with an injury. I like that. I like the sound of that. I oftentimes will try to get someone back to whatever the thing is they want to do, running, crossfitting, weightlifting, whatever, as soon as possible, with hopefully just some modifications, because oftentimes, and this comes back to the embodied portion, their identity is wrapped up in that thing, and you can sometimes see that maybe that identity needs to be altered a little bit, especially if they're having continual issues with that particular thing. But if it is a positive thing and it's, one-off, then certainly I want them to be able to express that identity as much as they want to. So training with an injury, load management, reassurance. Some of that load management obviously is exercise prescription. So that would be your strength and conditioning protocols. So addressing the system that you're trying to change as best you can. And basically that's through overload, gradual overload. So whatever it is you're trying to reach, you put a challenge that's just slightly above where you normally do, and then you reach up to that challenge, and then over time you can do more and more and more and more. So it works great. And often I find with the mix of those elements, and then also the more, I guess, quote unquote, holistic approach that I apply, where I'm talking to them about all sorts of different topics if needed. Sometimes people are doing really fine on their nutrition and sleep and all the other aspects, and their only thing that they have a problem with is the load, and that's fine. They'd be a less complicated person to work with, but that's okay. But oftentimes people are dealing with a lot of these other things, and perhaps some of those things are also being affected because they can't do the thing they want to do with the part that they've come to see me for. That kind of wraps up, I guess, the embodied. I kind of went off again. I rambled a little bit, but the embodied, so that's the embodied part, would be the holistic, kind of bringing in that function, treating them as a human being that has an issue that we're trying to overcome and help them strive to be the fullest thing that they want to be. The performance part obviously is more of a, how do they perform in their daily life? So, they have an issue, or they're not at the top of the function that they want to be. So we try to help them reach that. That's where I like to bring in the gym element, because if I can help people stay healthy and strong as possible, then if they ever do run into an issue, they're going to be more robust and ready to handle whatever that challenge or issue may be. And perhaps trying to overcome that issue will be a little bit easier because they've started at a higher point. Training, resistance training in particular, and I think just general preparedness of what you have to do in your daily life. So that can include speed and power and those other elements to the person, is one of the best things we can do to reduce our risk of injury. You can't prevent injury, but you can reduce your risk of it. That's one of the best things we have right now. But there's those other elements, of course, that dealing with the person that can also affect their performance and how they feel, and that could perhaps increase the risk of injury. So it's important to address those functions of the person that I mentioned before. So that's kind of the name that I got, Embodied Performance. Who knows how long it'll last as the name, but I really like it now, and so now I just have to find a cool logo. So I'll probably reach out to some of the people that I've met, some of the graphic design type people, running their own businesses here, since I've been going all these business networks since coming here and trying to run my own first business. I don't know if I'll get into much of that stuff on this podcast. I might, who knows? It could have some relevance to people and just, the trials and tribulations and all that good stuff. But yeah, so they got the name of the podcast. Like I said, I want to try to drag Catherine Blackwell of Blackwell Mental Performance on here, because I feel like she's basically trying to do what I'm doing, just from a different angle and approach, which is really cool. And then so I think that is probably a good place to start, and hopefully I can keep it going. I have no idea when this will get put out. I'm gonna use this app to record, and then it's supposed to be able to send it all out to whoever and anyone and all the different places you can find apps. I will send links out, all the social medias, for whoever wants to click on those and listen. If you do like this and like the sound of what we're going to try to do, and please subscribe on whatever thing you use for your apps, podcasts. Share it. Certainly share it to somebody you think it might be helpful for, or whoever. Definitely want to get the message out there. So, and that'll probably also help me with my motivation and to keep going. But I'm certainly going to try to hammer down the discipline of doing this, especially because I can do it while I'm driving between going to different places and meeting people and clients and all that good stuff. So yeah, so this has been the first episode of the Embodied podcast, more of just like, I guess, an origin story, which was probably what I'll title this podcast, Origin Story. Hopefully I can get Catherine on here in these next few podcasts, and she can kind of speak from her angle, which will be really interesting and cool. So if you need to reach out to me, again, my name is Nick Markey. My company's Barbell. You can call me at 910-465-1223. Also, you can email me at nick@beachbarbell.com. Facebook page, facebook.com/beachbarbell. I'm having the website built out, so that'll be up soon. So don't hesitate to reach out, like, share, spread the word. Thank you for making it this far. Just under 16 minutes. I think this is perfect, and I will get gradually better as I do this. So, and any feedback, certainly I'm more than happy to hear. Try to make this as best and helpful thing as I can possibly get it. All right. Thank you.